Hey, beautiful souls, welcome or welcome back. I am Sierra, your women's faith coach, previous hairstylist of 20 years, and I am here telling you guys my story on God Called, I Answered, basically my transition of from behind the chair to being a women's faith coach. So let's get right into it. All right, so this is episode 2, and this is wrestling with the call. And I want to first kind of go into, going back to episode 1 where I talked about, I asked the question, have you ever felt the nudge that God was calling you to do something more? You might know what it is or you might not. So when I got to the point of knowing that it was time for me to move on, it was time for me to get from behind the chair and answer the call. I had a lot of doubts. I had, to make a decision, I had to pack up my suite. I had to let my clientele know that, hey, I'm not going to be doing hair anymore. I just kind of had to do this whole mindset shift. And also, it was a physical shift for me as well. And I'm not going to lie to you all, with that physical mental shift came a lot of doubts, came a lot of fears. I worried about my finances. I was like, I'm going from making my paycheck in a couple of days to stepping over into a field of being a women's faith coach and encourager, not knowing if this thing is going to work out for me, not knowing what the finances are going to look like. So I battled, for a very long time. Like, how do I tell people around me that I'm not doing hair anymore? Because, like I said before, this is all that people had known me for. And, I just had many nights, praying and asking God to just guide me through the transition and not even just leaving what I was doing, but stepping into something new, stepping into the unknown. It was like an unfamiliar territory for me. Another thing I struggled with was the identity shift. I really had to embody this transition as a woman of faith. Like, I'm going to be a women's faith coach. So I have to really embody this new identity that I stepped in. And a lot of times we have people who deal with what we call imposter syndrome. And I was like, Lord, I do not want to feel like an imposter stepping into this thing, stepping into something new. So I just had to really like let go. And I was here on my YouTube channel. I had, once I started to make videos and started to gain that traction and things like that, there was a company called In Faith, or the Faithia app, who reached out to me and was like, hey, we saw your videos. We see you doing your thing. And I hadn't still labeled myself as a women's faith coach. Mind you, I'm just still putting out videos leading from the podcast and transition and talking about life and just talking about my experiences. Nothing about being a women's faith coach had came about just yet. So there was, a developing stage that I had to go through. And so when I worked with them for a short period of time, they were kind of like, hey, this is where my identity shift came in. It was like, we see your YouTube has all of these videos of you doing hair, you teaching, you talking, you showing and whatever. And they was like, you need to take those videos down. And mind you, I had hundreds, maybe 100 videos of doing hair. So I was like, you mean to tell me I gotta take down my hair content? Because it's how I built my page. It's how I got my page as far as it's gotten, at that point. And they were like, yeah, we need you to take that down and we need you to just focus on your message and what you've been doing. So I was just like, I don't know about that, but I did it. I was obedient to God's call because God called me in this position. So that was just one of the first opportunities that I was able to land in being obedient to the call that God had called me to do. Like, people are watching you. We don't know who's watching us for an opportunity. So just, it's important to be obedient when God calls you, even if you don't know what this call is going to be or what it's going to look like. So I want to relate this to how we can wrestle with the change when it's time for us to step into a new identity, because it's a mind thing, it's a identity thing, it's a physical thing, it's a whole like transformation, of a stepping into a new life. And this is why I feel like it's good for me to be good for me to be a women's faith coach, is because I have gone through this transition, and you have so many people who are in transition, who are getting ready to go through a transition, and they don't know how to transition. They don't know what to do, they don't know what steps to take. And I always say life is the best teacher, life gives you the most experience, and I notice the thing as people, we try to wrestle with it because we're comfortable, but if you think about the caterpillar, and what it has to go through as a cocoon, then it comes a caterpillar, and then it turns into this beautiful butterfly. It has to go through its stages. It has to go through, you know a mindset, a full total physical shift to gain its wings. And that's sort of like how our life journeys are. And when God calls us, to do something more, and to be more, we have to be open to that transition, or we can miss it. We can miss it, and we can just stay complacent. But I am definitely thankful that I am on this journey. I'm proud of where I'm at, and I know that God has my future in His hands, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. We're just gonna ride this way, riding the way where God has gotten me this far, and I want to see how far it'll take me. So stay tuned for episode 3, guys, of this breakdown of my transition. I try not to make the episodes too long, but to keep it kind of enticing. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next part. Bye.